Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Mike's DVDs and Blu-rays collection. I'm your host Mike, and today I'm going to show off some movies from the 1980s. I thought I would spotlight 3 movies that you need to be watching now. A couple of these, one of these I know you definitely know, but I added another movie to just kind of be kind of a wild card in between them, because 2 of them are somewhat similar. And all that good stuff. So let's get right to it without further delay. And the first movie I'm going to show, this was a new release. This came out back in 2021, last year. This is a movie directed by Amy Heckerling from 1982, and you probably know what I'm going to say, and that's Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That's right, guys, the 80s classic. I mean, this was a movie that was hugely popular. It was a staple on television when I grew up in the 80s and 90s. It was always on TV. And what's cool about this Criterion release is they do have the edited 80s TV copy on here also that you can watch, where they, changed words around and stuff. Those are almost hilarious sometimes to watch, just these edited TV copies. But yeah, 1982, Amy Heckerling. It's based on a screenplay by Cameron Crowe. This was before he, started directing. He was a writer, got famous for writing for Rolling Stone. He was a teenager when he did that. He would meet some of the biggest names in rock and roll, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, etc. And he wrote this screenplay, and what was really interesting, what Cameron Crowe did was he pretended to be a teenager. He looked young. He was probably 20 or something at the time, and he enrolled himself in this school, and he went in and he went to classes, and he did this and he did that. I don't know how he did this. He surely wouldn't be able to do it nowadays. But he got in there, he started hanging with kids and getting their lingo down, what they do, going to parties, doing stuff like that. I think in real life, I think he really did kind of skip a lot of that, because he was busy being a reporter, a writer and stuff. But it was really interesting, and he developed this script and put it out, and Amy Heckerling was the director behind it. I think this was maybe her second feature, or it might be her first, major film. I think she had done a independent film, something like that. But anyways, great movie. What can I say? This is a great release from Criterion. It's got a audio commentary with the director and Cameron Crowe from 1999. It's got a new conversation with Heckerling and Crowe, doing an interview. It's about 20 minutes. And then we got a documentary from 1999 about the making and behind the scenes and all that stuff. But what can I say about it? I mean, it's got so many young actors that would define the 80s. It's so many movies. People like Judge Reinhold, Forrest Whitaker, of course, Sean Penn. Sean Penn, also this same year, I think he made a movie called Bad Boys, which I think is a very underrated movie. But anyways, it's got, Phoebe Cates, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Eric Stoltz, Anthony Edwards. All these people would go on to be, big, stars in the 80s. I want to also mention Brian Backer. He plays the guy that's in love with Jennifer Jason Leigh, kind of the quiet, nerdy type. And Robert Romulus, who plays the guy, who's the ticket scalper guy, who is his best friend and stuff. Because they kind of went on and they did stuff. They did other movies, but I don't think anything is ever as big as this movie, so they're not exactly household names, in my opinion. And of course, Ray Walston, who was from TV's, My Favorite Martian. But yeah, he was in a lot of other stuff too, other movies. But yeah, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I mean, if you're a 40-something-year-old person, you definitely remember this movie. It was just one of those batch of 80s movies that kind of, this basically kicked off the 80s with movies like Valley Girl and just different, movies like that. But yeah, Fast Times at Ridgemont High is definitely something you should pick up. This is one of the definitive editions of it. Like maybe retire your old DVD of it and get this one. So it's really, really good. Next up, I want to spotlight a movie that's similar in the vein of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And this actually came out about 3 or 4 months before Fast Times at Ridgemont High. But it has a lot of similarities. At the same time, it doesn't have any similarities. So let me explain. The movie I'm talking about is The Last American Virgin. Like I said, it's from 1982. It's actually based on a series of movies that were made over in Holland, somewhere. Oh, gosh, actually, there was a series of let's just say this: European films, and they were called the Ice Cream, something like that. They were kind of racy, teen type sex comedies and stuff, and this is loosely based on one of those. I think the first one. It's the producer is Minham Golan and Yoram Globus. So the future Canon. Well, this is a Canon film. Yeah, Canon Films, directed by Boaz Davison. And let's go over the cast. Lawrence Monason, you'll definitely recognize his face. Diane Franklin, which you may know her also from Better Off Dead as Lane Meyer's girlfriend. Steve Anton, Joe Rubo, and Luisa Mortiz. But yeah, it's one of those movies, and I remember this distinctly. We had HBO growing up. It was weird. We had 3 channels. We had the main networks, and somehow or another, my dad, a friend gave him like a cable filter or something. It was probably illegal. I'm sure it was, where you could go out there on your pole, hook it up, and you can get free cable. And we got HBO, so it was weird. I grew up with HBO and 3 other channels, and my parents would get, we had a little HBO guide, and I'm talking, this is like 1983, and I was 7. I shouldn't have been watching this, but I just remember this movie. I remember they were talking about it. Also around this time, movies like Porky's was popular and stuff, but this actually beat Fast Times at Ridgemont High to the theater by a few months. But basically, you got 3 guys, they're teenagers, they're wanting to have sex, that's all on their minds, they're wanting to get laid and have a girlfriend, and then the 3, you got the heavyset guy who's mainly there for humor and comedy situations. You got the guy that looks a little more attractive that is going to steal the girl, and then you got the lovable loser played by Lawrence Monason, that's similar to the what's his name, Brian Backer character from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So it's very similar in the sense of like their problems, and I think what's mostly identical is the 2 best friends in love with the same girl, and then you got the attractive guy does the girl bad, they break up, the good guy does something to help her out of a situation, and he thinks, well, I got her now, and then she goes back to the guy, and breaks his heart. It has a very downbeat ending to it, a very realistic ending to the movie that probably people wouldn't enjoy most times. But yeah, this is a movie that doesn't really get talked about that much, in my opinion. I mean, it's got I think Arrow put a Blu-ray out of this. I think it's Arrow or one of the other boutique companies in Europe put a Blu-ray out of this, and it's kind of expensive, so I just went I've always had this copy of it, but I just wanted to talk about the similarities and stuff, and And a lot of times people probably think, well, Fast Times came out and then everything else was, you know, imitated. But this actually came out first. You know, it came out and everything. So it's got some very similar situations and stuff, but it's not, you know, but, you know, this is based on, you know, a previous film. But it's got a great cast. You know, you got the girls, you got the situations where the guys are trying to have sex and the parents come home, and, you know, a bunch of shenanigans abound in this movie. So but it's a lot of fun. I mean, I just remember this as a kid. I mean, I watched this when I was so young. I didn't understand a lot of stuff that was going on in it. But you know, when you had HBO as a kid, man, you just would watch anything on there because it was HBO. It was like, wow. You know, but anyways, there you go. The Last American Virgin. You can find this on DVD and Blu-ray, and it's not a movie that comes up a lot. That's why I wanted to spotlight it. And finally, guys, this is the wild card I put in here. This is one of the, nothing says the 1980s like this movie. Really, really nothing. It's from TriStar Pictures, a company that was, you know, absorbed by Columbia Pictures later on. But anybody who grew up in the 80s also remembers TriStar, the opening with the horse and everything. So anyways, the movie I'm talking about is The Last Dragon, and this is the 30th anniversary Blu-ray edition. It's been out for a while, released through Sony. This was a movie produced by Berry Gordy, the Motown Records president and founder and everything. So it's got a lot of music in it. It's got a lot of R&B and dance music and stuff of the time. It's got a pretty eclectic cast. I mean, it's apart from Vanity, who was, you know, she was a singer and everything from the 80s. The rest of the cast is pretty much somewhat unknown. I mean, there's some supporting character actors in there that's, you know, you will probably recognize, but it stars an actor named Timac. It's got Julius J. Carey III and Chris Murney, Leo O'Brien, Faith Prince, Glenn Eaton. It's directed by Michael Schultz, and what can I say about it? It's a movie. This young black guy, he's obsessed with kung fu films, martial arts. He ends up having to come to the rescue of Vanity, who's a singer. There's a rival music video producer who's trying to, she hosts like a show and stuff, and it's just a mishmash of a lot of fun. If you love kung fu 80s movies, it's got all the colors and just the neon. One of the characters is the rival kung fu guy. I mean, he is very memorable when you see him. I think he's played by Julius J. Carey III, which he's just hilarious and stuff. It's just a movie that's a lot of fun. It's really crazy, and but nothing says the 80s like a movie like this, for real, in my opinion. I mean, I was there. And stuff, you know, and I remember them not showing this that much on TV. I mean, they did show it, and I think I only saw it maybe a couple times, but, you know, since then I've watched it a bunch. But even back then, it didn't seem like it was on TV a lot, but maybe it was, maybe I just didn't catch it. But I watched a lot of TV back then, guys. So there you go, The Last Dragon, Berry Gordy's The Last Dragon 30th Anniversary Edition. Really cool, it looks good, it's got a nice picture and everything, good sound. So there you go, guys. I just wanted to make a short little video, 3 from the 1980s, just to kind of show you some teen marketed movies, you know, movies in the teenager vein. If you were growing up in the 80s, these would be, you know, the movies you'd want to see this weekend. So anyways, thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this episode. Comment. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already subscribed. And check out all my other videos I have on my channel. So with that said, guys, I thank you for tuning in. Take care. And as always, watch good movies. And I'll see you guys later.